Welcome to Carte, Los Angeles for an episode with Daniel Krasofski. He's a member of the IAO Institute, right?
Correct.
And Daniel, you're going to explain what it is.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your program.
You're welcome.
Very happy to have you here at the IAO, the Institute for Art and Olfaction.
So let's talk about, we are in front of all those samples, I guess, that we call that. What exactly it is?
Well, this is our student organ. So for perfumers, we call our rack of molecules our organ, because it looks almost like an organ pipe. So this is our student organ, where anybody who comes in for the open sessions or comes in for some of the classes, these are all of the different essential oils and aroma molecules that they can choose from. All of these right now are in alphabetical order. We're looking at another way of organizing all of these molecules.
Mm-hmm. So when you have in this place, you give lessons or course, as we call that. So can you explain a little bit about?
Yeah, every Wednesday, or almost every Wednesday of the month, we offer an open session where the pure novice or even an experienced person can come in at night for upwards of 3 hours. Choose 5 different molecules and just blend away.
Play with it. Yeah. Play with that.
We get a lot of people that come back again and again and again, so they slowly increase their own perfumer's organ, and then they always bring that back every Wednesday to play with more molecules.
Okay.
Right behind us over here is our wall of stuff. One of the things that's so important.
What it is?
Well, when dealing with perfumery, molecules, and essences, it's really important to write everything down.
Oh, okay.
Because once you get a bottle of liquid, you don't know what's in it unless you wrote it down. So this is where we teach people how to do their own formulations about specific molecules, and it's just our big chalkboard.
Okay.
With lots of stuff.
Let's go to the other. Oh, I like this wall. What is it?
So
those are noses.
Yeah, these are noses. So for the Institute of Art and Olfaction, we're a nonprofit organization. So people who can actually donate money, and we've got a wall of honor. Mm-hmm. So this is the golden nose wall for our members and donors.
All right. Next.
So this is our resource library. A lot of this perfumery information has been unattainable by the average person. Unless you work for a large conglomerate or multi-billion-dollar company, a lot of this information would not be available or accessible. That's one of our missions here, is to make this information accessible. Mm-hmm. So this is our library that's continually growing. Yeah. Now right behind us over here, we've got set aside for right now, but this is our homage and storehouse of our winners for the Art and Olfaction Award, for the AO Awards, which we just had at the Hammer Museum here in Los Angeles. So hidden away these are all of the winners of the last 3 years.
Oh, okay.
So this again also in this quantity. 1 drop is all that's needed. So this indol technically is a molecule that's released off of decomposing matter, decomposing bodies, and also poop.
Oh, wow.
Literally, poop.
So you're using everything you can find in one perfume. It's very full of surprise.
It's very full of surprises. Yes, which is one of the reasons why it has been kept secret, is because some of these surprises are not pleasant. Mm-hmm. So again, this is the indol. Again, kind of that a heavy, funky matter. Now smell this jasmine again and see if you can distinguish.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's also changed on the paper.
Yeah.
It's still floral, but do you get some of this indol aspect? So when you are creating a perfume, if you want to recreate a natural, you start first with smelling the natural, and then adding the different components that then create that scent. So this is just a very basic.
So after that, do you add alcohol on this, or that's what is going to be?
Every perfumer has a slightly different technique of perfume, creating perfumes. Some perfumers create with 100% materials. Our student organ is all of them are a 10% dilution or less.
Okay.
One for economics, but also since some of these are so expensive, we don't want a student accidentally tipping over something that costs $1,000.
Yeah.
All right, so
Understandable.
this is the original Jasmine Sambac.
Oh, where do you find Jasmine Sambac? What it is? It's a different plant? It's a different...
It's a different variety of a plant.
Okay.
And then this is the recreation that we just made.
Oh, yeah.
So it has the feel of jasmine, but the natural always has something a little bit more.
Yeah, of course. But man, it worked, actually.
So that was just 5 different molecules that recreated something that has hundreds of different molecules.
Yeah.
So once you, to actually create a perfume, you can create separate accords. So I've got, this is, say, a jasmine accord. You can do the same thing with rose, lily of the valley, sandalwood, and then you mix that all together in different proportions to then create your perfume. So some perfumes can have as little as 1 molecule by itself. Most perfumes, though, have about 20 to 150 individual molecules.
Wow.
One of the reasons why some of the prices are so high on some is because they have so many materials or are using high quality natural materials.
Talking about Chanel, for example, do you know how many molecules they use in number 5, for example? Do you have any idea?
It's a very closely held secret.
Okay.
If I were to guess, and it really is just a guess, they do use some very high quality natural materials. They also use some high quality synthetic materials as well. Specifically, they pioneered the use of aldehydes, which is a molecule, a synthetic molecule that has a very soapy, florally type of scent to it. If I had to guess how many ingredients, I'd say maybe 95 to 100.
Oh, wow. That's quite amazing.
It could be less, it could be more.
But that's your guess.
Yeah, it's a totally very tight secret.
All right. So what's the most common way to make a perfume, to create a perfume?
One of the most common ways of creating scent was created in the 1800s, utilizing the similarities of music creation to scent creation. So when we're creating a sound or creating music, we have our top notes, our middle notes, and our bass notes. And when you put 2 or more notes together, you create an accord. Those accords get put together to create a composition or an actual full song. So when we're dealing with scented molecules, we like to break them down into top notes, middle notes, and bass notes so that we can have an understanding of how it smells, how it evaporates, and how it all works together. So how it works is a top note is classified a top note by how fast it evaporates or disappears. So something like a peppermint or an orange, that scent disappears within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour at the very most. That would be a top note. A middle note is something that evaporates within about 3 hours. A base note is something that evaporates over the course of 24 hours or longer. So we were talking about patchouli a while ago. So patchouli is a base note.
Okay.
Patchouli lasts forever. Even if somebody walks by and you can smell it, you feel like you can smell it for a long time. Or if you get it onto clothing, it's there for a very long time. So a perfume uses these top notes, middle notes, and base notes, and we put them all together to create a scent that evaporates off the skin in a very specific way.
All right. When you make a perfume, do you think it's like better to use it right away? or wait until it's like a wine? You know, wine get old, and as perfume has the same property. Are they do the same? Are they work the same way, or?
It's actually very similar to wine. Perfume, when you're mixing your molecules together, and you mix something, say right now, and it smells very similar to what we wanted to create, there are chemical reactions, there's time that's needed for the perfume to age, to mature. And so something that we make today technically won't smell like it will smell for a long period of time until about 3 months from now. So we would mix something, we'd set it aside in a closed container and revisit it in about 3 months. Once we see what it's like at 3 months, that is a very good idea of what it's going to smell like in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very, and everything is always changing. For example, the top notes or the citrus notes, they actually go bad or disappear very quickly in your formula. So even if your bottle is closed really tightly, those scents of the peppermint or the citrus can go away very quickly. But sandalwood or patchouli, 20 years down the road, can smell even better. Right. So like an aged patchouli or a 20-year-old sandalwood is more valuable than a new sandalwood. Oh. So we do need to give this about 3 months to really bring out what it will smell like. There are specific techniques for kind of locking in scents. For example, like a citrus scent, which can dissipate very quickly. If you are working with specific individual molecules, you can choose a base note that has a citrus aspect to it. For example, like frankincense has almost a lemony scent. So if you add, say, lemon as your top note, something like a litsucabaiba, which is a flower that has a lemony scent to it, or as well as frankincense, you would be able to experience that long-term sense of citrus in your perfume. So there are techniques to extend, expand, and help things last longer. That's a whole other facet of perfumery.
No way by itself evaporate.
Yeah. So there's techniques with what are known as fixatives.
Okay. If somebody want to ask you to make a perfume, of course you will do it, I guess. And can you explain what the price and what is involved in the making of a perfume?
Well, the making of a perfume is a process. And it usually is a lengthy process. It can be any place between, say if a client were to come to me and want to create a scent, it would usually take a minimum of 3 months. Right. So the first thing that we do is we sit down, we have a good conversation about what is the perfumer's brief, or what is the mission, what do you want that perfume to smell like? So taking notes, figuring out exactly what the idea is. I also go through and find out if there's any allergies to anything, because many molecules, even naturals, can cause allergic reaction. So determining that kind of information, what a person's favorite color is, all of that type of stuff, so that I can really tailor that scent for them or for the project that they want. Then I begin the process of evaluating all of these different molecules to see how that would fit in with the different concepts of my top, middle, and base, or the different accords that I'm using and putting together. That process usually takes a good 2 weeks to a month all by itself.
On top of the 3 months?
No, including the 3 months, yeah. And so then once I've got a good maybe 3 to 5 samples of this perfume, I then meet with that client. We'd evaluate those scents again and see which one they resonate with the most, or the one that they like the most. I'd then take that scent or that perfume, bring it back to my lab, and then work on it just a little bit more, adding some nuances, adding some twist to it to tailor it again more to them. And then meet again with the client, going through those samples, figuring out what they like within those samples, all along educating them in the process of how it works, how we're doing it. The price, actually, you cannot figure out the price until the final formula, because the price is so much dictated on the price of the ingredients. For example, if somebody wanted a jasmine, like only natural, that's going to be multiple hundreds of dollars for a small bottle, because the raw material is so expensive. Generally speaking, it's in the $2,000 to $10,000 price range to create a custom scent.
And just to create, not to make to give the bottle to the lady. Or,
correct.
Right.
Yeah. Again, because it is such a long process, there's a lot that goes into it. I worked on a project recently, and I think it took almost 1,000 hours. Yeah, it was a very long project to actually create the specific scents that we were creating. So there's a lot that goes into it, and you never really know what the final price is until you know the final formula. And the same thing with commercial perfumery. That's one of the reasons why a large perfume company charges so much for a bottle of perfume, is because so much R&D goes into it, marketing goes into it. With the R&D, with the research, the marketing, one of the reasons why commercial perfumery is so expensive, as well as one of the reasons why artisan perfumery is expensive as well, is because so much time goes into the creation of a perfume.
Another question I'm interested in, how a commercial fragrance is released?
A large company would come up with a brief, an idea of what they wanted to create for a scent, and then they would have a number of their perfumers create different samples, and then one of those samples would be chosen. Then there's a big process that goes through the aging process, the blending process, the cost process, choosing of the bottle, choosing so many different aspects of release. And then finally, after maybe about 1.5 to 2 years, it is then commercially released to the public in many different things, from your drugstores to your fine department stores. There usually is a minimum of about 10,000 bottles or 100,000 bottles to actually be manufactured on that level. So one of the things that we're doing here at the Institute for Art and Olfaction is we're educating and working with the artisan perfumer to create smaller releases of their perfumes. So an artisan perfumer may only release 100 bottles of perfume at a time, or even 50 bottles of perfume at a time. Which is one of the reasons why it is so expensive, because they're not working in large quantities. So we're entering a new age of perfumery where the little guy or the niche perfumer can start to really compete with the larger manufacturers. So the niche perfumer can create smaller batches, almost like a microbrewery of perfumes.
Microbrewery of perfume, that sounds very interesting. I mean, it could be very, very cool.
It could be very cool. We'll see. We'll give it a couple of years and see what happens.
Yeah, I think so. So now, what's the institute do? How the course works? Can you explain that?
Well, the Institute, again, we're a nonprofit organization working with artisans to increase people's awareness of scent. So we work with a number of different artists to create scent, but we also offer an entire educational program as well. It's a loose educational program, so it changes from month to month, with the exception of every Wednesday we offer an open session. And our open sessions are people who are just interested in creating scent, that have no background. They can come in, grab a few molecules, and start blending away. That's every Wednesday night. Throughout the month, though, we also offer weekend classes, and those focus on more intensive technical and practical ways of creating perfumery, or creating perfume accords, or taking a project from concept to finished product. We also offer a number of experiences and lectures based on artists from around the world that are using scent in their pieces.
And I guess when you're a beginner, you're not going to use anything very expensive. You're not going to put in the hand like the $1,000 ball. So how do you start it? We give them a little kit?
Well, this is our student organ. And so our student organ has a lot of different molecules. Most of them, again, at a 10% or a 5% dilution, which helps the cost. The stuff that's real expensive, that is put aside and maybe for special people. But we've also created take-home kits that people can purchase on our website, as well as as well as a number of other paraphernalia that we have. But the kits that we offer have a number of molecules that are important to the first-time perfumer. So we've curated a number of those essences that would be easy for the perfumer to use. And nothing like a jasmine or a rose, unfortunately. The big trend for the last few years has been oud, which is an Arabian wood extract. It actually comes from a wood that has been infected by a bacteria, I believe. And it's then aged, soaked, aged some more, and then extracted. And it's used as a religious scent and as an incense as well as an oil in the Middle East. And it's become a very popular ingredient in almost every perfume line around, from Revlon to Tom Ford. It's an interesting scent.
I heard, I smelled like patchouli is back. I smell a lot more patchouli than I remember in the 70s. This perfume was very strong. I mean, everybody was wearing that, and now it's back in the street. I start smelling again.
Well, we'll be tasting patchouli tonight.
All right. Now another question is how can an average person can make their own perfume? Is it possible, or what would be involved?
It is possible.
It's always possible.
It's there are prodigies of piano, of all sorts of different types of arts. Perfumery is an art, so the average person could create a perfume that would be sellable on Etsy or eBay or someplace like that. But it does take a tremendous amount of time to learn how to make a perfume. So with diligence and a good amount of maybe say 10 months, 12 months or so of diligent study, an average person could create something that would be marketable.
I think is for the more I understand is when you have to take course to understand what's going on, because if you do it yourself, it would be so complicated, so long, and so costly, because you go like by guessing everything. So I think it's the best way is take course.
Well, and this is one of our missions here at the Institute, is to have to create a resource that people who want to learn can come in and at least experiment with the molecules. A lot of these molecules were not available to the general public until relatively recently, and to have a library like this is nearly unheard of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's a very technical process. There are a lot of artisan perfumers that are popping up all around the world. There's perfume classes online, perfume classes in person. There are books. There's all sorts of different places to learn techniques. It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Basically, yeah.
But give you a year of diligent study, you could potentially sell something. Yeah.
If you're gifted.
If you're gifted. I've been at this for about 20 years. Cool.
Thank you, Daniel. So now, where are you located?
We're located here in Chinatown. We're at 932 Chungking Road, kind of on the shopping mall area of Chungking. And it's a very historic, very interesting part of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's beautiful actually. I went outside. And do you have a website? Where can we find you on the web?
The Institute is artandolfaction.com. We also have a number of links to other sites that we work with, the Art and Olfaction Awards, and some of the sponsors that we work with.
Well, thank you, Daniel, for all your help.
Yeah.
Now I hope everybody is gonna, a lot of people are gonna understand a lot better about perfumery and sensory. I don't know how you can say that.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Daniel.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure.
And we're gonna see you very soon to your place, and we're gonna talk about more your work.
My work as well as some of the liqueurs that I make.
That's right. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching the show à la carte Los Angeles. See you next time for another episode. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.